Welcome to She Counts, the Real Talk podcast for women in accounting. We're your hosts, Nancy McClelland
and Questian Telka.
And every episode, we're digging into the real experiences, challenges, and unspoken truths of life in this profession.
Because if you've ever felt like you're the only one, you're not, and you shouldn't have to figure it out alone.
Special thanks to our Season 2 sponsors, Forwardly, Relay, and Client Hub. We're so grateful to them for helping us bringing these conversations to life, enabling us to share out loud what everyone's thinking, but no one's saying. Learn more about them on our sponsors page at shecounts.show.
And today's episode is called When There's No App for What You Need, Building the Tool You Wish You Had. And we have a special guest with us, the woman who founded accounting practice management tool, Client Hub, Judie McCarthy. Welcome to She Counts, Judie.
Thank you both. It's a really great pleasure to be here today.
Judie is a co-founder of Client Hub, and something that I thought was really interesting is that I was going to call her CEO, and she said, that's one of our company values is that we don't use titles at Client Hub, which I thought was really cool. So Client Hub is the client collaboration platform that she originally built to solve the workflow bottlenecks that were in her own bookkeeping firm, because before stepping into the tech world, she actually spent 25 years running a successful practice. I'm at 24 myself, Judie, so I got 1 year to get to where you were, where she developed the systems, empathy, and the client focus that now shape the way her software supports bookkeepers and accountants. And today, she's a recognized voice in the accounting tech space and a champion for giving firm owners tools that truly fit the way they work.
And as everyone knows, we love launching each episode with a story. And Judie, we want to talk to you about the problems you kept running into that made you say, there has to be a better way.
Yeah. Let's start with the moment everything shifted, the breaking point in your firm that led you to imagine Client Hub. Can you take us to the exact moment in your firm where you were like, okay, none of the tools out there are going to solve this for me? Like, what was the specific workflow problem that pushed you over the edge?
So you were looking for that moment.
Yes.
I'm actually going to say that it wasn't as magical as that, but it also really the challenge wasn't my idea. So my team, we were sitting in a conference room. We were having our regular team meeting, and we were always trying to be really, really productive, right? We were always looking for ways to increase productivity, deliver better client experience. And we're going around the room, and my lead bookkeeper, and by the way, God rest her soul, she passed just about a year ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I was sad to she wasn't with me anymore because she was with the new firm, but she said our biggest challenge is getting the information that we need from our clients to do the work. And I was like, well, wow, that's pretty big. And so we kind of knew that was an issue, and we kind of bounced around some ideas. We actually did a mini research study in my firm, and we found that we were spending about 33% of our time chasing clients for information. And can you imagine? Like,
A
that's
full third
a
of your
full
time?
third of your time. Yeah, sending requests, sending the repetitive reminders, chasing clients down.
Oh my
But
God, I hate chasing clients down.
Yeah, so do I.
where it really came from was, o it wasn't our internal workflow that was the biggest challenge, it was that external workflow. There are lots of great internal workflow tools on the market, and we had tried several of them, and we were using one at the time. But I was sitting in my office, it was late one Friday afternoon, getting ready to finish up, and suddenly my phone rings, and I looked at the caller ID, and it was one of my biggest clients. But I have to admit, she is a little bit difficult, and she starts yelling at me, and she wants a new bookkeeper. And I said, "What's going on?" She said, "The bookkeeper is harassing me for the same information over and over again." So I kind of talked her off the ledge that afternoon. I said, "Listen, it's Friday. Let me dig into this first thing Monday morning." So I met with the bookkeeper Monday morning, and we kind of went over the email thread. And it wasn't the bookkeeper. It's the way that we, as firm owners, normally traditionally communicated. And again, I started my practice back in the late 1990s. Our communications back then were phone and fax and in person, right? So now email
Yeah.
comes along, and email's the oldest technology now in our stack because we have retired fax. Um,
Thank goodness. The
thank goodness.
dinosaur.
Yes. So, we looked back at the emails, and what we were doing is we were sending emails to clients asking multiple questions at the end of doing their accounting each week. And so clients would always respond to the email and they would never give us all the answers. So the next week it was
Oh,
starting
that's
that whole
classic.
vicious cycle. I
That is
know.
Yeah.
so classic. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
and it's not just our clients. My the other CPA in my firm, our tax specialist, she's amazing. I love her, but she admits, she's like, "I never read to the bottom of your emails." And I'm like, "Oh gosh, I gotta put all the important stuff right at the top."
Right at the top, they'll only read the first paragraph at most.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm guilty of that. I'm an email skimmer. I'm terrible at it. I'm just like skim through the email as fast as I can. And inevitably, if you do that, you miss things, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Absolutely.
the AI
Absolutely.
summarize function that is in my email is helpful.
Oh, yeah. I was about 15 years too late for this, and
Right.
my client, I was afraid she was one of our biggest clients. She had multiple different businesses. She was a very high-powered woman, and I thought, "Okay, this is it. We're gonna lose this client." So I had to call her back after that meeting, and I had to say, "Listen, we love you, but, the bookkeeper's not harassing you. Like, this is on you." And I kind of explained to her what was happening, and suddenly the phone just went dead, and I thought, "She's hung up on me." And I realized she was crying,
Oh,
and she
no.
said,
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
and she said, "It is so hard to keep up with everything." She's running 2 businesses, questions from us about all these transactions, and she was so stressed out, and I thought, "Wow, this is a horrible client experience."
Yeah. Even though it was their fault though, like, that's one of the things that makes me kinda crazy is that you're like, you brought this on yourself because you're not reading the whole email, but when you're running your own business, it's everything. It's just overwhelming, and yeah, she probably felt guilty and at the same time as she was upset and angry.
I think so. She was just overwhelmed. Yeah, she did
Yeah.
feel guilty, and so it was great because her and I started brainstorming ideas, like, how could we be better at this? And so she said, "Well, how about you send me one email for every question?" I was like, "That is not gonna work," because I said, "We're gonna be
Oh my
having this phone call if we're complaining
No.
about too many emails." So, we came up with the idea of a shared Google Sheet, right? Of course, this was before
Mhm.
Notion or, a lot of the tools that we have today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we created a shared Google Sheet. That was great. She said, "I'll go in at the end of every week. I'll answer all the questions." That didn't last 2 weeks, right? And so this was when really I thought there has to be a better way, right? And we need to solve for this. And there really were not any good tools on the market at that time. Of course, now we've got more tools than we had back in 2017 or 2016 at the time where we started thinking about this. Um, but yeah, we have to think about the experience that our clients are having, not just getting the work done. I mean, I don't wanna I don't mean this disrespectfully as accountants, but I mean, you can teach accounting, right? And you can teach QuickBooks, but can you teach that level of empathy that you need to really understand the needs of your client? And we started going and talking to all of our clients about this. Like, what can we do to make it easier for you to provide us what we need?
Yeah.
And from that was born, the very first version of Client Hub. I brainstormed it with my now business partner. I had the luxury of being introduced to him by a mutual friend, and we brainstormed ideas. And I think we came up together. He had a couple ideas for some apps, and we kind of settled on Client Hub as the client portal, and that's how we started. It's just a really simple client portal for those communications. The product has evolved over the years to, a full practice management solution that we look at now.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. So it's like you initially didn't set out to build software. You were just trying to solve a problem, a common problem that we've all experienced. I still deal with it on a regular basis. I'm sure Nancy does too. What did it take you to get to the point where you were emotionally and practically ready to step away from a 25-year bookkeeping business to just launch something completely new?
What did it take? Oh goodness.
Yeah, and I
It took
wanna know
time.
especially because I'm 24 years in, and launched Ask a CPA and She Counts in the past year and a half. And and it's hard because I'm still running the firm, and it's this is I have a vested interest in your answer here.
So first of all, it was something that had been kinda on my mind, when we first started Client Hub, my my expectations were not that it was gonna grow to this. I just didn't think, I thought, okay, first of all, I wanted a solution for my own firm. And then when my partner and I got together and said, okay, we're gonna start building something. And when you invest that kind of time and money into a solution, yes, you have to, bring it to market. Um, so for me, I was juggling two full-time jobs at once. I was managing my practice and I was managing Client Hub, and that went on for a couple of years, and it finally took me about 2 years to really wrap my head around the idea of selling my practice. And I think the reason for that is, number 1, I had done it for so long, and it was my way of life, and it was steady income. Trust me, the software business is not steady.
That doesn't surprise me.
When you're a startup, right? You've got so much to invest back into the company, otherwise, it's not gonna make it. But
Yeah, it's hard to let go of something that you've spent and invested so much time and energy in and shift to something completely, I mean, I guess it's not completely different, but it is wildly different. So that seems like it would have, I can see why it would take you 2 years. It would be very difficult for me, and I've only had my firm for 5.
I'm surprised it only took 2 years. Like,
it probably took longer. But yeah, it was like the last 2 years I was really, really serious about it. And for me, it was that emotional attachment to my clients. I knew all of them, and many of my clients had been with me for over 20 years. So I needed to make sure that they were going to be well taken care of. I needed to make sure that it was a good transition for my team, and then, of course, clients had to receive that. Remember, I talked about that client experience. We had worked so hard on that. I needed to make sure that whoever I sold the practice to was going to get that same level, of
and
experience.
I know so many people who've sold their firms, and it was just a horrible experience because they found out afterward, "Oh, the clients aren't happy. These people don't care about them the way I always have." And it's really heartbreaking because I mean, you develop personal relationships. I have clients that have been with me for, 20 years.
Me too. Only
Yeah.
5 because mine is only 5 years old, but yeah,
But
I
since
have the
the
same
beginning.
since the very beginning, yeah, and you have
Yeah.
an emotional, connection to them and to their, for me, their missions, for everyone else, their businesses and the success. So, yeah, I have heard that a lot from accountants. I feel like we're all so empathetic. We're always going out of our way and trying to do more for our clients, that we are often, when there are stories of people selling their firms, they're often very focused on making sure that that transition is, you want your firm's reputation to live on after you've sold it, right?
Yeah, like a legacy,
Yes.
like you made a difference
Exactly.
in their lives. And when you're making a difference in the lives of small businesses and nonprofits, you're making a difference in their communities because it's their vibrancy that is really lending itself to communities that are strong and united and colorful.
And, a lot of them were almost like family. I mean, I got married in, my goodness, 2003, and I had several of my clients that they were there at my wedding. It's because they were
Oh,
just friends. They were like friends and
Yeah.
yeah.
family, and that was when the firm was smaller, of course. But, um, and it, I think as women, because we are caretakers, that is so much more important to us. I think had I, a man selling a practice probably doesn't think so much about that. They're
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna get rid of this practice. I'm gonna take get rid of it quick, take the biggest payout, and I'm gonna go. Sorry, guys, I had to, but you know,
Yeah. I mean, I
Well,
have never done the research on that, but now you have given me an idea. Like I wanna see some data about
well,
that.
Nancy and I actually, when we were, talking about, episodes and we were doing planning for the podcast and things like that, we were like, well, what, we're having these what if scenarios in our mind, right? And so as we're going through these what if scenarios for planning and, making business decisions, like we were really focused on some emotional pieces and some empathetic sides and like managing relationships with, our guests and our sponsors and things like that. And I said to Nancy, she's like, well, what are we going to do? And I said, we just have to think about it like a man.
She did. She was trying to get me to
Uh,
get both of us to, like, emotionally
Yeah.
detach a little
yeah.
bit, and so that we could do decision, because we would get paralyzed with decision making when it was all emotions. So, yeah, like, pulling away a little bit, did have to happen. That's a good. I'd kinda forgotten about that.
She's like, oh yeah, you
It
did say that. It was kind of kidding, but also not.
Also
So
not.
yeah.
Also
but
not.
we do, and, for many years at Client Hub, I was the chief cook and bottle washer. I was it all.
Yeah.
Of course, I got my team. I don't do any of the coding. I don't my partner manages the product team and the product management. But still, there comes to a point in any business where you do have to you have to let it trust the people that are doing the work, like, trust other people to take that over, and it's really hard, but, hey, it feels good.
What happened during your sales process? Like, what did that look, did you go for the highest bidder, or did you, like,
Now.
how did you even begin to choose who was going to take your legacy and carry it forward?
So a couple things that I did. Number one is I went through a broker. The broker wrote up. We talked about it. The broker wrote up the ad copy, which was absolutely horrendous.
Oh gosh. Oh no.
It was typical accounting. I was like, oh, accounting firm for sale. They do, it was all about the numbers. It was nothing about what is the practice. So I rewrote the ad copy because I really wanted to attract the right kind of firm, not just any kind of firm that was looking for revenue, looking to build their customer base. I wanted a firm that was looking to implement the same types of processes. They were, tech forward. And so, with the broker, they kind of pre-screen a lot of the offers, and um, I had, which was amazing. I had 20 offers of my asking
20?
price or better within the first 24 hours. Yeah,
Wow.
and they kept kind of rolling in. It was amazing. Yeah, that's overwhelming. So, they kinda pre-screen, they do a lot of, we had conversation and said, "Here's what I'm looking for," and so I was able to make the selection of who I wanted to interview, and I did several of the interviews time and time again, and I believe in gut, right? I believe in going with your gut, like, first impressions mean a whole lot, and,
And
so
I
I
have
went
to
through these
interrupt for a
interviews.
second to say I was talking with my husband a couple weeks ago because he's reading this book on motivation. And one of the things that she says in the book is that we talk about something being a gut reaction, but what that gut is actually your entire lifetime of experience and knowledge.
Yes, that's right.
So it
Yeah.
we sort of represent how much brain we're putting into it when we talk about our gut, because it is the sum total of a lifetime of learning lessons. So please continue. I just had to
Yeah.
give you
Oh, no,
some credit for your gut there.
and don't forget our women's intuition.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's true.
Yes, that is true. So I went through, nothing really excited me, and I think I had narrowed it down to about 3 or 4 firms, and I still had one more interview. And I interviewed a gentleman, in Texas. He's the one I ended up selling the practice to. He had a small practice to begin with. Within 10 minutes of the start of that conversation, I knew he was the one. I knew it was just, I could just feel it, and out of all of them,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And again, so then it kinda went, I think I had to pick my top 3, and the broker reached out to them and said, "Okay, you're the top 3, make your best offer," and I think he was the lowest, and, there wasn't a lot of difference between the offers, but he was the lowest, but he was the right one for me. He was the right one for my clients. He had, everything about the whole offer and the transition planning and the way he ran his firm. It felt more like a family firm, and it was right.
I love that you're talking about how they have to be tech forward and personal relationships at the same time,
Mhm.
because I actually gave a talk at Intuit Connect about how people think when you automate and use AI and stuff like that, that it takes away from the personal experience. And I make the argument that you can actually lean into the personal experience when you are tech forward and using this stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, because it gives you more opportunity. You have more time, more opportunity, and more tools to help you in working with your clients.
So are you happy with how the sale worked out?
I was really happy with how the sale worked out. The transition was so quick and seamless and easy, and I thought for sure it was gonna take forever. My clients were happy. The hardest thing was telling them, and it's something that he and I did together on a Zoom meeting with them. That
Oh,
was the
you
hardest.
did it together.
We did.
I love that.
And they never had any, even my team, like, and I'll have to tell you a funny story, and this is not like a plug for Client Hub, but I had, my lead bookkeeper, when I first told her I had sold the practice, because we waited till it was closed, and we were on a Zoom, and she was kinda stunned for a minute, and then she goes, "I don't have to give up using Client Hub, do I?" I said, "Jackie, we've been together 8 years, like, and you're worried about giving up your tech, not losing me?" You know? And so,
Oh my god, that's
but I
hilarious.
had one of my clients do the same thing in the meeting. She's like, "I'm not gonna have to give up using Client Hub, am I?" I was like, "Well, I'm gonna miss you too." Like,
Yeah,
"Okay."
right. You're like, "What about me? Hello." So
Yeah.
I'm always having this topic was really interesting to me, because I had told Nancy before, like, I'm always having ideas for pieces of technology or apps that I feel like would benefit myself or other bookkeepers and accountants, but I've just never felt like it was something that I could execute on because I have absolutely no coding experience and, would not have much of an idea where to start. So, and what convinced you that moving from having your practice to building software was worth the risk? Like, how did you know that it was time to trade making do with what you had to making something new?
That's a great question. I wanna know the answer to that too.
So, it's a kind of a scary one for thinking like there's a better way to let's build software, right? That's a really scary thing to think of because as I mentioned, there's a big investment of time and there's a big investment of money, right? For me, fortunately, I had some really strong connections in the accounting space. I had been speaking at conferences, I'd been attending conferences for many years. I had actually worked for another technology company briefly, but I had the great fortune of being introduced to my business partner, and he was an experienced product manager. I am a software developer from the 1980s. Code is so much different, right? By the way, we're working on Windows now, not DOS systems or basic systems. So I couldn't write code to save my life right now. Um, so, really, brainstorming an idea, coming up with an idea, but not only coming up with an idea, is that you have to you have to think about, is there a market for the idea, right?
Yeah.
Just because I have a problem doesn't mean the two of you have that same problem. And I was pretty sure we did because I had a lot of friends in the accounting space. But looking back, I've met lots of accountants that have had great ideas. But bringing it to life, you have to have not only a vision for the initial product, but where are you going to take that product? What is the vision for evolving it? Right? We started with a simple client portal. That was good enough for me right then, but we had to again have the vision to kind of move forward with the product. Today, Client Hub, we started as a client communication file exchange system and client tasks, so getting answers from clients. Today, we're a really robust practice management solution. We include internal workflow, robust file management, integrations with QuickBooks, Zero, Anchor, Zapier. We have integration with Microsoft
Wow.
coming up. We've got AI features. And so, you really have to have that strong vision, right, for the future of the product if you're taking it to market. With that
Yeah.
said, by the way, there are a lot of people I know that have just gone ahead and built solutions for their own practice, and that's great.
Yeah,
And if
that's
you want
true
to sell your
too.
product, sell it to your friends, like not make a business out of it. But we had really decided that we wanted a lifestyle business built out of building Client Hub and just finding the right people. We were fortunate, again, with the connections that both my partner and I had, to put together a team. We've got an amazing team of developers, all of which have been with us since day one. No
You
turn
mean
up
today? The people
today.
who are developers today have been with you since the beginning of Client Hub?
Yes, 2017. I'm sorry, I think I got that date wrong. Yes, 2017. These are the
Wow.
guys that started building the prototype, designing the product. So,
Wow.
just to have that team, and we've added on, to the team, but the core team is all the
That's
original.
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, you can
I
tell
had
you're
no
very
idea.
relationship focused. Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's say, okay, so it's like you have an idea, right? Like I've come up with an idea and clearly none of mine are that great because I can't even remember what they are now.
I have 100 I'll share with you.
So, right? Like I'm like they come and then they go and I'm like, "Oh, I really need to make this." And then it goes away. But if I wanted to vet an idea or somebody else has an idea and they want to vet it, what are the first steps that you would what advice would you give? What are the first steps that you would recommend someone take in order to vet the idea? Maybe it's wait a month to see if you remember what it is still.
So first of all, write it down. I have a whiteboard on my desk. I have a little those little whiteboard things on my desk. So whenever something comes to mind, I jot it right down on there. Because I will forget it in about 5 minutes. It's like going to the kitchen and standing there and saying, "What did I come in here for?"
Like, as
All
soon
the
as you
time.
walk through a doorway, that's
Yeah.
what happens to me.
Should I
It's
do
like
it?
the thing it's like you walk through a doorway and it just goes poof out of my mind. It's gone.
Yeah. What am I doing here? So
Yeah. What
yeah, write it down, take notes, and if you have some ideas, I mean, start jotting up a document. But the thing is to talk to your connections, talk to your community, talk to your network, talk to other software developers. I have firms that reach out to me all the time saying, "Hey, I have an idea. Would you mind if I bounce it off you?" Right? And so start talking to people and don't be afraid that somebody's going to steal your idea because chances are somebody else has the idea. Or the other chance is they're not going to steal it and run. I don't think I've ever heard of that happening. I suppose it could.
That is
Um,
incredibly good advice. Like, don't
Yeah,
have that be the thing that keeps you, in other words,
from sharing it.
the amount of risk involved in somebody stealing that idea and actually running with it and building something that can go to market and be successful versus the value of talking with other people about it and how much that's going to give you. Like, don't worry about that risk.
No, don't. And the other thing is, you never know what you're gonna stumble upon. Like a great business partner. My business partner and I, we
Mm.
we just kind of met. I wasn't looking for somebody to really build a client portal, and he wasn't looking to build a client portal. We were just talking about different software projects. And so it just kind of came to fruition that we were really well aligned on this idea, started doing that market research again with all of our network and our connections to see if, hey, if we build it, will they buy it? Right. And so that's really how we started it. And kind of looking again at just scope out. It's funny. I think I have the original PowerPoint presentation that I created when I was talking to him about, hey, here's what I'm thinking. And then I think I have his kind of
Oh
initial
my gosh, that
iterations.
is so awesome. So you took these
Yeah.
notes, you made it into a PowerPoint so that it was just very clear and organized when you were going to present it. That was that was like way before you came up with the investment and capital and all of that kind of stuff. You just came up with a clear way to communicate your vision.
The 2 of us together, yeah, and we probably did that for about 4 or so months, just
Okay.
continuously chatting, and then again, speaking to our network and going through our notes and comparing notes with each other till we finally said, "Hey, let's start building a product." And so again, we had the great fortune of, he stumbled upon somebody that was working on another software project that just happened to know 2 developers looking for work, and, it was a perfect fit, and they started building, and we started thinking about a go-to-market strategy, and it probably wasn't until, I guess 6, 7, 8 months in that we said, "Hey, let's, like, make this a business. How are we gonna structure this? How are we gonna work together as partners?" What is our mission? What is our values? And really starting to take shape. Like we didn't have to do it all up front.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
and then
fantastic.
and then with product release, we could have sat there and it's funny. I remember Laura Redmond from Arrow Workflow telling me,
Oh, yeah, I know Laura.
yeah, Laura.
Mhm.
And we were talking about this, and we were getting ready to release Client Hub, and I'm like, "It's not ready, it's not ready." And she said, "It will never be ready. It will never be ready." So thank you, Laura.
Oh.
Thank you, Laura.
That
Um,
is such good advice for so many things in our lives, especially, there's so many women who are perfectionists
Perfectionist.
and we don't want to put anything out there. We don't even want to open our mouths. Well, me, I'll open my mouth anytime, but most, so many women that I know, they don't even want to say it out loud unless it's perfect and it's thought through and it's exactly, but yeah, it will never be ready. So just do it.
Yeah, never perfect. And I even fall that way sometimes with new features. He'll want to release new features and I'll be like, "No, they're not ready." And then but I've gotten so much better about saying, "Okay, let's let it go at this level and we'll continue to build it out." So, it's almost like our sometimes like things have turned and sometimes he's not ready to release and I'm like, "Hey, let's let it go, with the basic features and let's build out and let's let our customers tell us what more it needs instead of
Yeah,
us
and
building what we think it needs."
you know, I that leads me to a thought, which is that we've talked a lot on the podcast about reframing soft skills. I hate that word soft. I haven't come up with a better word for it yet, but I want to reframe those. They are essential business skills. There's
Yes.
nothing soft about them. Like we talk about how empathy and clarity and boundary setting, that how these help make great bookkeepers and accountants. And you were just talking about like this whole process of defining values and how you're working together and culture. So I'm kind of guessing that these also help make great product designers, right? I mean, question, I'm guessing you're feeling the same
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think our audience, I know I wanna hear about the qualities and the culture that kept your bookkeeping firm thriving, transformed into, like, leadership, communication, and then the very client-centric thinking that helped you shape the culture around Client Hub.
Yeah. So, which soft skill from your bookkeeping days
Yeah.
ended up becoming the most valuable in actually designing and leading a tech product?
Well, actually, I'm gonna go back to before my accounting practice. In a previous life, I was in management in the automotive profession, and so I went to management leadership training, and I remember them saying, "The most important communication skill you have is listening." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, like, is that really communication?" Right? Because you think of communication as talking. Um, but listening and understanding the needs. And so it's not just the needs of our partners, which we call our customers our partners, but it's also our team. And so we need to listen and understand the challenges in the firm. Yes, I ran a firm for 25 years, but my firm was different than your firm again and your firm. So my challenges might be different than yours. So we have to listen to all the firms. We're not building a product for me. I sold my practice. We're not building a product for my developers. And honestly, I see that a lot in technology profession. I see, developers say, "Hey, listen, we're looking for a good idea." They brainstorm, they get an idea, and they say, "We're gonna build software." And they build what they think their customer needs. And that
I
is
can
completely
definitely
wrong.
think of a couple tools right now that are making me crazy for exactly that reason, who
Yeah.
shall remain nameless.
Oh,
Nameless.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we won't go there. But yeah, there are a lot of them. And so number 1, we have to listen to our customers. We have to talk with them. We have to listen, and we take extensive notes during the sales process, the customer success process, like anytime we meet. And of course, now we use AI tools to help us out, but we want to understand what our customers need or what our potential customers need. And then we also have to listen to our team about and to our vision for the product. So, it's funny because we have people that make feature suggestions all the time. We actually have a link right there in the product. You've got a great idea. Tell us what it is. We want to know. And so, you don't have to send us an email or go to customer support, but we want to know, like, how is that going to help your firm? But we also have to look at, does this fit the vision of our product?
Yeah.
We have to stay true to ourselves.
So what does that mean when you're talking about a software company?
So when we're talking about staying true to ourselves,
Yeah.
well, again, a good example was, we're a client portal, internal workflow, file management. We'll get people that for many years have asked us to implement something like, let's say, time and billing,
Mhm.
right? And traditionally, in a lot of practice management solutions, time and billing was a product in there.
Yeah.
Um, today, I have to say that that would probably be a really great revenue stream for us if we're collecting electronic payments through merchant fees. But for us right now, and I'm not saying we'll never put in time and billing, but for us, it was the perfect way to say, hey, listen, let us partner with somebody. And we partnered with Anchor to provide a billing solution that integrates with Client Hub for some
Got it.
automation. And because that wasn't the direction we really thought was best for our product.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's such a great example. So you're trying to keep it simple and do what you do best so that you can provide that to your customers and then help them find alternatives for the other bells and whistles
There
that they
it
want.
is, yeah, and we'll make suggestions, and you nailed it when you said keep it simple because, I'm gonna use Salesforce for example. Have either one of you ever used Salesforce as a CRM?
No,
Yeah.
but I've been on the horrible receiving end of people who can't. I've been trying to switch tax software. No, this actually happened to me. So I've been trying to switch tax software after over 20 years with my old software, and um, I'm switching to ProConnect, which is an Intuit product, and I do a lot of work with Intuit, and so they like set me up with one of their best people, and I literally did not hear from him for 3 weeks after our original conversation. And it turned out it was because he was responding to me through Salesforce. And there was something in there that where I had said a
Oh.
zillion years ago, I had said, I don't want any marketing information from Intuit. And so I wasn't getting his emails and he was sending them and I wasn't getting them. And I was just like, really? This is how that system works? Like you can't doesn't it if somebody's really eager and it's November 4th and you don't hear from them for 3 weeks and they're switching tax software for this coming year, like, there's gotta be something wrong with your
Pick up the
systems because that
phone.
person did not ghost you, I promise. It was really
Yeah.
frustrating.
It's so what really where I was and I know practice management solutions, like, there's all these solutions where there's all these bells and whistles and complicated settings and setups. They're not gonna help you get the work done. Our product is focused on, let's help you get the work done, right? That's the most important thing. Time and billing, you get QuickBooks, you've got other solutions. If you need a CRM for your sales process, great, you've got Pipedrive, HubSpot. But Client Hub is really designed to help a firm be productive, get the client work done. Just get the work done and help your team make sure the work gets done the right way and you're communicating and collaborating with your clients. So we need to keep it simple. And there are a lot of times I've gone back to my product team and we're building a new feature and they're getting ready to release it into our QA server and I look at it and I'm like, "Okay, I want you to cut out this 50% of the features. Like, let's just keep it simple. We
Yeah.
probably don't need it to do X, Y, and Z. If we do, let's let our customers tell us because sometimes that delays the development of that new feature.
Yeah, so
Let's
you're
just
you're using strategic partnerships with other apps to kind of fill in, give the clients options in those other areas so that you can really kind of focus on what you've determined is the main priority for Client Hub and for what your clients are looking to get out of it.
right, and for what we're looking the value we are looking to deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've talked previously on she counts and specifically on our episode about women adopting the use of AI, that it's so unusual, or it's more unusual for women to take the kind of leap that you've taken, from moving from, accounting into the tech world, and, as a tech founder. So what was one barrier that you ran into that you feel that a male founder probably wouldn't have run into during that process, and how did you navigate it?
And actually, I wanna interrupt before you answer that. I wanna make sure that our audience knows. So, obviously, Client Hub is a sponsor, and we're very, very proud to have them as a sponsor. But we actually invited Judy, independent of that. Because we wanted a woman-owned tech company, or, a woman leader in technology is who we were looking for, and we have a very short list, and we will have some more on the show in the coming months.
But yeah, we really wanted that perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're very, very proud to have Client Hub as a sponsor, and I don't want to disregard that at all. However, like, we invited Judy on here because we were like, God, there aren't that many women in technology and accounting. Like, we wanna talk to somebody about it. So
No,
yes,
so
please.
few, so few female tech founders in accounting. So yeah, we want to understand, like, so what were some of the barriers, and how did you navigate barriers that, a male founder probably has not had to deal with.
Well, I think you're gonna be surprised at the answer to that question. So,
Okay. Hey,
really,
I mean, we want the real answer. We're not.
Yeah, yeah. I know
yeah.
you're all about authenticity, so give it to
Yeah.
us straight.
Okay, guys, listen up. So for me, so kind of a backstory to me. I lost my mom when I was 22 years old,
Oh, I'm
and
so sorry.
well,
That's
thank you. I'm
So
that's
young.
much
ugh.
older. It was young. I felt kind of lost, but she was really my greatest champion, my biggest champion. And she always kind of told me that there were really no limits to what I could do or who I could become. And because of that influence, I never saw barriers in anything that I did. And, I mentioned that I worked first, previous year, my previous lifetime, I worked in the automotive industry. Then I went to accounting and then technology, which these are all male dominated fields. They always have been. But I never thought it's funny because people always talked about, oh, how's it feel to work in a male dominated field? But I never saw myself as any different or less than, and I think that mindset for me made all the difference. Like, I never walked into a room full of men and thought, "Oh, I'm the only woman here. I'm an equal." And again, I have to credit my mother for that. She was just a great leader. She was a single mom, just a great mom to have, and I just never felt like I was different, and I guess I was, right?
Can I ask, were there things that the men who you're in those rooms with did to make sure that you didn't feel that way? Because I also, I feel, I agree with you. Like, I walk into a room and I feel like I'm an equal, and I have, the same amount to give as any male. But then there are some situations that come about that, Nancy, you
Yeah,
were going to say
so
something.
only because I wanna say it's one thing to go into a room and feel like you're an equal, it's another thing to actually be treated that way,
Right.
and to
Yeah.
feel like they also consider you an equal, don't you think? I mean,
I think
I know we've
so.
both
I think
struggled
so.
with that.
And I
Yeah.
don't yeah, and I mean, I've never asked anyone, like, "Do you think of me as an equal?" But I wanna say it's the choices that you make and the people that you align yourself with. And I have just been and again, accounting and technology, we have some just amazing, amazing people in this profession. I've had the privilege of working with, exceptional male leaders like Renee Lasser, Greg LaFollette, Doug Sleater, Joe Woodard, and then all the other inspiring women, like Casey Johnson and
Oh, I
Deneen
love Casey.
Diaz, and
Yes.
Sabrina Parsons. You know,
Yeah.
when you think about I have to say, I sometimes get more nervous walking into a room with strong, inspiring women like that than I do a room full of men. I'm just in
Wow.
awe of them. Now I just feel like I'm part of the gang or part of the tribe, but, just
You're right, it can
it's
be really
amazing.
intimidating, and, I think what makes some of those women so inspiring and amazing is that they're welcoming and, giving of their knowledge and support and mentorship, which is so important that we as women do for one another.
Absolutely, and it's sounding like, Judy, you had some of that with the men in your professional life as well, which is really encouraging to hear.
I did, and even in automotive, I felt as though, it was there were a little tough struggles. Of course, that was back in the 1980s, 1990s. Things were a little bit different then, but still for me, I just never looked at it as barriers. I started out when I was still in school. I started driving a truck to deliver parts, auto parts to automotive shops, and then I worked my way up to upper management within the field. And again, I think I just never looked at any barriers, and I know there are a
Well,
lot of women that do experience that. I don't want people to think that I'm saying there aren't barriers, because there are. It's just how you find your way around them, just like a traffic jam.
yeah, yeah. So the tech ecosystem compared to the world of automotive versus the world of bookkeeping, would you say those were all really different from one another or really similar to one another in terms of the being a woman in a male dominated field or feeling like your voice mattered?
Well, there were different times, right? So again,
Oh,
I was
that's a
talking
really good
80s,
point.
90s, so things were a lot different then. But I want to say honestly, like the tech profession, it's very welcoming. I've never met any of my male counterparts in this profession that I didn't feel had respect for me as an equal. So I'm
Wow.
really grateful for that, and I would encourage any woman that considers going into tech. Don't be afraid. Don't think of it as a male dominated profession, even though it is. They they want you there. They want talent. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, black, white, Asian, gay, straight. It doesn't matter what you are. I mean, people nowadays, especially in technology, we are just very welcoming.
That
We
is
just want everybody.
fantastic. I'm so relieved to hear you say that.
What do
Yeah.
you feel like your presence as a female founder helps bring to the next generation of accounting technology?
Well, I hope my presence shows the next generation that their passions, their ideas, their creativity, that you belong here. And I want
Oh,
them to
you
let
just gave me shivers. I love
Yeah.
that.
Same
That
here.
is like
yeah.
that's such a guiding principle for us with this whole podcast with She Counts is you're not alone and you have a voice, you deserve to be heard. We want you here. You belong here. So I love the idea that yeah, I want you to be that inspiration for folks and for women in technology too. So
Yeah. And look, what are your fears? I mean, uh, don't let anything or anyone, that's important, anything or anyone hold you back. Whether it be parents, partners, other people that you talk to, because sometimes you'll talk to one person that says, "Hey, that's not a great idea," but you know what? Just let it go and just go to the next person. If you've got 20 people tell you that's not a great idea, that's one thing.
mhm.
Um, but I actually have somebody that worked for me, and she came to work and she said that in her last job, somebody told her she had no personality, and I was appalled.
What a crappy thing to tell
Can you
someone.
imagine your boss
Rude.
telling you have yeah, and, she's one of the
Oh
most
my
amazing people I've ever
gosh.
met. So, don't let people beat you down. Don't let anybody beat you down. Um, you know what? Just have the courage and just go for what it is that you want. Go for
Yeah,
what
we're
you
always
want.
saying do it anyway. It's rather than saying don't be afraid, be like, no, you can be afraid. These things are scary, But
Yeah.
don't let, like you were saying, don't let those fears be a barrier. Don't let those fears hold you back.
Yeah, and I have to say that I've I've been the kind of person that is never afraid to try because the thought of regret of the what would have beens really, really scares me. So I don't ever want
Oh,
to regret that I did or did not do anything in my
you've
life,
got
whether it be yeah.
a bigger fear out there, the fear of regret being
Yeah,
bigger
yeah.
than. Oh, wow. That
Yeah, I
reminds me
am.
of a Dolly Parton quote, but I can't remember the exact quote, so I have to get it back to you on that
Me and
one. I'll put it
Dolly,
in the
me and
show
Dolly.
notes. Yeah, you and Dolly, you're practically the same person.
Yeah, I think it's the hair.
It's the
It's the
hair,
hair.
definitely. Yeah. Well, we know from our relationships with sponsors, and from all the beta testing that Question and I have both done, to presentations and webinars for vendors, that developing strong relationships with tech partners is part integration strategy and part collaborative development, or even like so far as building a support infrastructure. I mean, Question, you and I have talked about that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it shows Judy's story really shows like the collaboration. It's a good example of collaboration between firms, apps, people, and that all kind of, I guess you would say, creates an effect or a ripple effect to have better tools and make the profession stronger overall.
It really
Um,
is a ripple effect. I totally agree.
yeah, yeah. And Judy, from your perspective as both a former firm owner and now a tech founder, what does a great partnership between an app and a bookkeeping firm really look like in practice? I mean, I think you kind of touched on some of it already, but I would love to hear your answer to that.
That's another great, really, really great question. So, you know, uh, kind of a truly great partnership, um, whether it's personal or professional, it always is going to rely on honesty, respect, trust, and genuine understanding, right? So we love our partners. And again, that's what we call our customers. We call them partners because we want to partner with them because we're building for them, right? We want the firms that are willing to, if we reach out, we're asking for feedback, or those ones, as I mentioned, we have the feature suggestion link. People are like, oh, we don't want to bother you. No, we love it. We
We
want to
love
know
being
Yeah.
what,
bothered.
yeah,
You like listening, like you said, listening,
yeah,
Yeah.
right?
the people that want to beta test new features. But the important thing is, I honestly think it's those firms that respect us, but they really wanna they respect us, they respect the boundaries, right? I have some firms that, every time some little thing goes wrong, they're emailing me and it's like, you're not gonna get the best support from me because I'm probably not gonna read that email for 8 hours, versus if you go to our customer support team, they're gonna answer it, and I'm a pleaser. So I'm always gonna respond to those emails, and I'm gonna be, 16 hours later just responding to customer emails. Um, but really just, understanding some boundaries, but also not being afraid to meet with us. Like, we're not always trying to sell you something. I think that's really important for people to know. If your account manager reaches out to you, or somebody from a product team, or even somebody like me, if I reach out to you to talk about your experience with Client Hub, I'm not trying to sell you anything. You're already a partner. Like, I want to understand what else can we do for you.
Mhm. Mhm.
In turn, a great partner is somebody who is going to use our product, again, make those feature suggestions, work with us on beta testing. They're going to refer us. They're going to mention us in social media. They're going to represent us. Even we've had partners that have represented us at conferences, worked our booth. Um,
I love that. I actually used to do that
yeah.
with my old tax software back in the day when they were, before they got acquired by CCH, Walters Kluwer. I would go to like AICPA Engage, and I would work their booth and just be like, "Look, you can trust me. I'm just a user of the product." Like, I love doing that. I love that you guys have people doing that at your booth as well. I just think that's so effective because, like, there's nobody like with Ask a CPA, there's nobody who can sell somebody on the value of that like somebody who is actually a member who wants
Yeah,
to
who's
be
using
there.
it.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's super smart, Judy.
And that was for me, it was my first kinda dabble into tech. I actually, I wrote a proposal, back in the days I used PayCycle as my payroll software, and I said, "Hey, listen, I wanna go to a conference. I can't really afford to go to this conference, but hey, I could work your booth if you'll pay my way." And they did. They said, "Great. Yeah, you can work our booth." And it just worked out amazing for me, and again, it kind of propelled me into working and getting to know people in the tech space. But in turn, we also want to promote them and we want them involved in our community. Client Hub is big into community. We have our, of course, our Facebook group. We have our biweekly happy hours. We do our customer spotlights, and we want to promote
I'm
our
sorry, you
our
said happy
partners.
hour and I got distracted.
And it can be happy hours. So we do a biweekly meeting. It's for users of our product, whether you're brand new to Client Hub or you've been with us forever. And we just get together for an hour every other Friday. We have what we call a kickoff topic, which is usually related to one of our recent blog articles or something else, going on, current events in the accounting profession. And I just kind of let the conversation take its own way organically with our customers, and we do some great networking. We laugh, we have fun, and it usually goes over an hour, but it's just kind of a way to
I
unwind at
love
the end of a
that. I
week.
think that's a great example to listeners. Like, what should we expect from others when we're building something together? Whether that's like technology or a firm or I don't know, podcast. I think more happy hours should definitely be
Yeah,
in our
Absolutely.
planning.
I like this idea.
I'd love to do in-person happy hours. I could
Yeah,
go,
Oh,
but
same,
it could get a
same.
little dicey, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great experience for our customers, and again, I'll go away normally from a Friday happy hour with a list of things that I send over to my product team and say, "Hey, I had happy hour this week." I unveil new features that are coming out, so people that do, attend our happy hour events, they get the opportunity to see things before anybody else will see them, and they'll give us great feedback, and I think it has to be a two-way relationship with your partners. So don't be afraid if you have a tech that you really really love, like reach out and say, "Hey, listen, I love you. I'd like to know how can I better promote you? How can you promote me? How can we work together?" What I can tell you not to be is that person that all that you ever do is complain to customer support. Like that, you
It's
get
not
a little.
helpful, right?
No, no, and
Yeah.
there's gonna be a sticky note up on somebody's desk saying, "Hey, if you get a message from this person, you know."
No. Is that what happens? Well,
No,
but
no.
before we close things out and wrap up, Judy, what would you tell a woman who's dreaming of building something new but isn't sure that she can? What have you learned about timing, courage, and all the things that you need as a woman founder to help us get to the point where we feel comfortable building something new?
Run? No. Run, stop. No, sometimes I feel,
No, like,
sometimes you
okay,
feel like that, like, yeah.
position it this way. For the woman who's listening who has an idea she can't shake, okay, but doesn't feel ready, who has decided not to run away. What is the one piece of advice that you wish someone had given you before you built Client Hub? I feel like that's a good angle on that.
Well, I think I kinda, talked about that with Laura Redmond, like, you're never gonna feel fully ready. It's not
Uh-huh.
never gonna be perfect. You need patience. You need to understand, especially if you're doing something to bring to market, a lot of patience. You're in it for the long run. So there's kind of that expectation. Um,
Mhm.
you know, Commit. So you also want to make a commitment, like a podcast. I know I've had people say, "Judy, you should do a podcast." I'm like, that's too big of a commitment for
No,
me.
talk about run. Come on.
Yeah.
Nancy, just kidding.
So one thing I think, embrace every day as a new day. Embrace every day as an opportunity to learn, teach, inspire, most importantly, laugh. Like I am, I- yeah, I don't even know why I wasn't voted class clown, right? Because for me, like I like to joke about everything, but I love to laugh and I love to have fun, and even some of the most serious topics. So maybe don't take yourself so seriously, like, roll with it. Let it kind of grow organically. Um, I know a lot of people talk about, they think about software companies, you need, you need investors, you need, marketing company. Like, you don't. You can literally, I mean, it is a a big investment, right? Because you're going to be paying developers and people eventually to market. Um, but just get started. Don't be afraid. Just get started. Start those conversations with
Do it
people.
anyway.
Vet out
That's
the
always
Do
just
it
do it the
anyway.
idea. Don't be afraid to
Yeah.
fail. Like I always say, don't be afraid to fail. It's those badges of honor that we wear, and we should be proud of them because failure means that you tried.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
getting
beautiful.
started I think is such an important piece of advice and hard for a lot of people. It's just like all the ideas are there and it's like if you just got to make yourself take the steps to kind of get started and see where it goes.
Yeah.
So, this has just been thank you, Judy, for being here. This has been an incredible conversation. I was so excited because, like I said, I have had different iterations of a thousand ideas going on in my mind for, I'm a serial entrepreneur at heart. So like, how can I take this into the next, into a different area? And so it's been really great. I've really learned a lot.
Yeah. Patience, and again, I mean, don't ever take yourself too seriously. I don't. I don't take anybody too seriously. I just and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. Sometimes I have to be serious and it drives me absolutely nuts to have to be serious. When I walk into the ASCPA offices in New York and everybody looks really stuffy and I want to crack a joke.
Although, okay, wait a minute. You think of people at AICPA as being really buttoned up. And then just a couple weeks ago, I was presenting at the AICPA Global Women's Leadership Summit, and they had me lead a group of over 500 people, 500, mostly women. I dressed up in an 80s like aerobics costume and did an aerobics, like a fake jazzercise to She Works Hard for the Money by Donna Summer. And literally everyone in that room stood up and danced. So I have to say,
They
they
need an
kind of
excuse to let
changed.
loose. That's all.
Yeah,
They
absolutely,
changed my
absolutely.
perspective on the buttoned up
And by the way, that's a
attitude. I
great
was very
conference.
impressed.
That's a great
It is
conference.
it is a great conference. I
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, they have invited She Counts to come and do a live recording there next year. So
Yeah,
we're really
very
excited about
exciting.
that.
Yeah, we
Yes.
can't
So
wait. So, as we wrap up, we want to ask our listeners to follow the She Counts podcast LinkedIn page and to join in on the conversation by sharing under the episode. When there's no app for what you need, have you ever come up with an idea for a new app? And if so, what has prevented you from pursuing it? And if you have pursued it, share that with us as well.
yeah.
Yeah, and if you wanna bounce the idea off me, feel free to reach out.
Oh,
I'd
I
love to
love
hear it.
that.
I do too. It's
Yeah.
great, Judy.
And before we sign off, I want to leave you with a quote by Rear Admiral Grace Hopper, the developer of the first compiler for a computer programming language. I had a really fun time going down a rabbit hole learning all about her. She said, "Humans are allergic to change. They love to say, 'We've always done it this way.' I try to fight that. And as today's conversation reminds us, we don't have to bend ourselves around broken systems. Women like Judy show us that we can just build better ones instead."
Thank you for being here with us on She Counts, the Real Talk podcast for women in accounting.
If something in today's episode hit home for you, well, good, because that is exactly why we're doing this.
So you feel seen, heard, and never alone.
Remember that you can get CPE credit for listening at earmark.app. Links to that, as well as how to learn more about our sponsors' solutions and any other resource, will be in the show notes, along with that Dolly Parton quote once I look it up.
And please remember subscribe as well as leave us a review because it helps other people find the podcast. Also, please share with another woman in accounting if you feel that she needs to hear it too.
Many thanks again to our wonderful guest, Judie McCarthy. Yay! We are so grateful for the time that you took to be with us today and the knowledge and insight that you shared.
And thank you both for having me. You are both an inspiration to women in
Aw,
accounting. So it was a pleasure for me to be here.
thank
Oh, thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
We'll see everyone again in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.